Thanks for coming, you guys. This is Elevation Education's first ever community education event. So it's based on health and nutrition, something that a lot of people focus on for the new year and, well, for their whole lives, we hope. It's absolutely free. We asked everybody bring canned food if they had some. And today, and for our next two events, we're actually really honored and pleased to have Dr. Nina Bell presenting for us. She's a public health expert, and she's also a university professor at Ashford University, and she's a triathlete.
Yes.
Right? So, pleased to introduce Nina Bell.
Thank you. Thank you. Hold your applause. Real briefly, my background is I have a doctorate in public health. I have an MPH, which is Master of Public Health, both from Walden University, which are online schools based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I have a bachelor's degree in journalism. So how I ended up in public health is kind of fascinating in regard coming off of the news reporter job. But as a result, I love the research and I love the write. And so that kind of fits in with everything that I do. On a personal note, I used to be well over 200 pounds. I dropped a ton of weight, basically because of things like this. And so my goal is to educate other people on how to become healthier. And as I was telling Curtis yesterday, people go on and off diets. Your idea of weight loss or staying healthy isn't to go on a diet, because if you take the T out of the diet, it's a die situation. You're not going to make it, because you're eliminating great things out of your diet, such, for example, such as the Atkins diet. I'm not a proponent of any diet, but that one in particular gets rid of all carbohydrates. Well, carbohydrates are energy, and that's what gets you going on a regular basis. So you're going to feel sluggish, and yes, you will lose weight on that diet, but when you go off the diet, you're going to gain it right back. So the whole point of today's presentation is to show you how to live a life healthier rather than going on a diet, dropping weight that you want to lose, and then going off this diet thinking that's all you needed to do. It's not all you need to do. I have not eliminated a thing from my diet. I have chocolate every day. So just to let you know, it is not a bad food. In fact, there are no bad foods. There are portion problems, and I'll talk about that later. But what I want to tell you about today is the Choose My Plate concept. How many of you guys have heard of that? Okay. The government's 4 food groups from many eons ago, I don't know how old you are, I'm probably dating myself, used to have a big block with 4 food groups in it. Then they changed to a whole new realm, and this is the latest realm they've come up with that I actually think works better. So what I want to do is go over why they changed this. All right, on the left is a picture of my pyramid. That was the most recent thing. Have you heard of my pyramid or the pyramid? Can anybody, just by looking at that, tell me what that means? Or you can look at it in the more appropriate colors on my screen. Does anybody understand what this means? What do these colors stand for? And why are they long and tall and skinny? Does anybody have any idea? Just guess.
Different food groups.
They are the food groups. But what does this mean? What's the orange?
Like the fruits or something?
Pardon me?
Like fruits? Like you have the
yeah, the orange is not fruits though.
Well, like the colors, you know.
Right, but I mean, I'm just saying. See how confusing this is? Let me tell you what this is. In brief, here's what it's supposed to mean. You tell me based on this picture or that picture up there, if this is what you get out of it. And I actually had to look it up because it was confusing to me. The 6 colors represent 5 food groups. Now, for those of us who were around way back when there were 4 food groups, there are actually 5 food groups. Grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, meat, and beans. Grains, vegetables, fruits. There's a really tiny little thing in there that you can't tell what it is. Milk, meat, and beans. Did y'all get that out of that little pyramid?
No.
I didn't either. That's only part of it. The little guy on the step, what's that supposed to mean? I don't know. That's pretty much the blank look everybody gives me. Like, what's the little guy? Little guy is indicating you need to exercise on a regular basis. But when you're talking about food and food pyramid, you're thinking you need to go up the pyramid to get healthier. Well, when you get up to the food pyramid, the old pyramid used to have little, I couldn't find a picture of the old pyramid. It used to have blocks at on the pyramid. Now they're long stripes. But the guy running up there is supposedly representing the exercise. Nobody got this concept, which, as I can see from the people in the room, we don't get it either. So my pyramid actually was replaced then, because nobody got it, to my plate. Now my plate on the right-hand side. Any clue what this means, just by what you can see, whether you can see this or whether you can see that? What's it mean?
Like portion sizes for what you should be eating?
Absolutely. If somebody said, you know, well, how many fruits and vegetables should I have at a meal? By that chart, what's the answer? Half your plate. If you look at the pyramid and they said, how many fruits and vegetables would you get? You'd be like, I have no idea what colors are even the fruits and vegetables. So that was the whole reason behind it. Let me go into a little bit more detail on this. The fruit group represents about any fruit that is 100% fruit juice. This is not your typical juices that you get in your grocery store. There are some, I'm thinking of orange juice in particular, some orange juices have added sugar. In fact, most orange juices have added sugar. So you really have to read the labels, and in 2 weeks we're going to talk about reading nutritional labels. But, so this can actually be anything fresh, all canned fruits, frozen fruits, dried, or whole fruits. Those are your best option for half your plate. Now, going back to the fruit juice things, you need to really be careful of how much you're getting your fruits from juices. Even at 100% juice, you're still getting an awful lot of sugar. You're actually better off having an orange in the morning for breakfast. You'll get what you need from the orange than the orange juice. You need to drink quite a bit of orange juice to get the value and nutrients that you get out of an actual orange. So I actually, how much fruit do you think you need on a daily basis? Now that's, if you look at the tiny plate, half of your plate should be fruits and or vegetables. How much do you think we need? I have a chart.
4 or 5 should be enough for them. I think.
Let me find it. I got way too many charts here. Okay, here we go. How much fruit? Daily. Okay? Women. I'm gonna guess we're between the ages of 31 and 50 here. Or am I shooting too high? Too low? 30 to
I'm in there.
Okay. 30 to I'm 46, so that kind of shoot with my age. I need 2 cups. Now, are you gonna go to your refrigerator and pull out an apple and stuff it into a cup to see if it fits? Not really. So you really have to look carefully at your apples. Here's an apple. Is that 1 serving? What do you think?
I think so.
Okay. Here's another apple. Is that 1 serving? Let me show it to the camera. Vanna.
Maybe the smaller one's a serving and the bigger one's a little bit more.
You're close. Neither one of those is a serving of apple. Okay? 1 serving of apple is about 3/4 of this apple. So this is about a serving. Okay? So if I ate 2 of these, I definitely have my daily fruit content for the day. If I had 2 of these. If I had 2 of these, there's about 2 servings of apple here. I would overdo the apples. I would overdo the fruit. Not to mention then what else you're overdoing is what? Sugar. And not that sugar's a bad thing, that's what gives you the energy. But that's what a lot of people think. They keep thinking, okay, I need more fruits in my diet. So they grab this big apple and they eat the whole thing. And they might actually have 3 or 4 servings of that apple. So they're getting more sugar than they need. And surprisingly enough, you don't really need what you think you need. So you're better off if you had a choice between those 2 apples to grab the smaller apple for fruit serving. Now, I'm not saying that's your meal. That would be not a good thing. For children, since we have some little ones in the room, of course, they're not quite 2 to 3 yet, but that's the youngest I have on this chart. They need 1 cup a day. So let's say you cut this apple in half and you gave half of them for lunch, and then the other half at night for a snack. Plenty. That's all they need in their fruit category for the day. Doesn't seem like a lot, does it? Because you're thinking you need to get 3 or 4 fruits in a day. That's what that's what the old style was. You had to get, you know, those 3 or 4 fruits in. If you go by the cup concept, I'm not going to go around carrying a cup with you because nobody does. But think in terms of, you know, I like to, what fits in your hand. See how a little larger than my hand. So this is a little bit more than 1 serving. I might have a sample apple that really is a serving, but I didn't have time to search. But I mean, this sucker, this is huge. It's 2 servings here. And some of those, when you get fresh apples in the fall, those real big ones, you're talking 4 servings sometimes in those really big apples. You get the same problem with any other fruit that's huge. Bananas. You know those really, not the real tiny bananas, but the middle-sized bananas that you say, well, that's a too small banana. That technically would be 1 serving. Your big bananas, 2 servings. So you be really careful not to overdo it. And people do with the fruit concept.
Do you have to eat like 1 fruit, or you have to have like a different ones?
No.
Just 1 fruit a day?
It would be, don't go by fruit, go by size. You would need 2 cups. So for 2 cups, it could be 1 fruit. This would be your whole fruit for the day.
Okay.
This apple would cover you. But if you ate this apple, you'd need to eat something else later.
No, I was just concerned about like different type of fruits you have to have, or just 1 thing you can have a day and then that's it.
Either one. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
As long as it's a fruit. So apricots, for example, they're really tiny. Okay, now you can tell that an apricot 1 is definitely not a cup. I think it takes 3 apricots to fit into a cup. So you could have 3 of those to a cup. Or you can have 1 apricot knowing that you have enough room for 3, 4 more fruit for the day. You can actually pull a can of fruit out and eat half of the can. That's your whole fruit for the day. It doesn't matter what fruit it is. And it could be bananas, it could be apples, it could be oranges. Now there are calorie differences in those, but we're just talking right now of straight out fruits in general. Okay? Vegetables. That's another portion of your plate. There's more vegetables than fruits. When you cut that plate in half, you need about, I'd say 2/3 of that half should be vegetables. Now, vegetables are 100% vegetable oil. It's considered part of the vegetable juice, sorry, not oil. We're going to get to that later. It could be raw, cooked, fresh, frozen, canned, or dehydrated. The subgroup, there's a ton of subgroups in this. Your dark vegetables such as broccoli, spinach, collard greens. Starchy vegetables, which are corn, green beans, lima beans, potatoes, and peas, which we all prefer. I know I do. There's the red-orange vegetables, the colorful ones, your squash, your tomatoes, your carrots. There's beans and peas, which I know there's a bean category on the old chart. I'll talk about that later. And then there's other vegetables such as beets and cabbage and cauliflower and eggplant and mushrooms. So how much is needed? Again, depends on your age. So for us youngins from 31 to 50, you need 2.5 cups. Now I didn't bring a sample of that, but if you think in terms of this being a cauliflower, you don't want to eat the whole cauliflower, it's too much. But in terms of cauliflower, you want to eat about an apple's worth of cauliflower, that size, for probably almost all your servings. It's not a lot. If you take a handful of baby carrots, that probably is about a serving and a half of vegetables. When you go to restaurants and they give you that side of vegetables, oftentimes that is 1 serving. And of course they overdo everything else. Potatoes, a small potato, same concept as the apples. Potatoes come in gigundous or they come little. The smaller the better. You always kind of want to err on the small side, because if you think about cutting that up and sticking it into a cup, that big potato is going to be huge. Now I'm not counting French fries. That's not even part of the vegetable group. Even though it's a potato, it's more of a fat concept. But vegetables, most of us probably don't get enough vegetables unless you eat salad. How many of you guys do eat salads? All of you. You go to McDonald's, I'm going to use McDonald's for an example because you all have the idea of the portion of McDonald's. Your McDonald's salad, how many cups of lettuce do you think is in that salad? There's a lot more than that.
3.
There's about 3 cups. So if you have a salad from McDonald's, you've already had your vegetables for your day. Of course, everything else that goes on that isn't necessarily good. Question, Kurt?
So I know a lot of us like to eat salads, and I've heard differing things between eating spinach or eating just like iceberg lettuce that you find. Is there a big difference between that?
There's a huge
or?
difference. Now,
Okay.
I do want to quantify myself by saying I'm not a dietitian, so I don't have these numbers in my head. But the only nutrient that is in iceberg lettuce is fiber. You're basically eating crunchy water. So if you want basically if you just want something to fill you up, iceberg lettuce is great. But if you need the nutrients, which we all do, you should eat the dark green vegetables like spinach, or even putting kale in your salad, or the leaf lettuce. It has a lot of vitamins in it, like vitamin C, and there's a lot of that in some of the darker vegetables. That's why if you do, and my mother hates like spring mix or anything, she only eats iceberg lettuce. So what she'll do to get the rest of her nutrients from vegetables is put cauliflower in it, broccoli in it, she'll put cucumber in it, which is oftentimes a lot higher in those dense, rich nutrients that we need.
Okay.
So, and surprisingly enough, with 2.5 cups, it doesn't take much to get your vegetable content for the day, especially if you think in terms of salad. If you're thinking in terms of adding a vegetable to your meal, whenever you're dishing up that mashed potatoes and your meatloaf and your corn, first of all, you've got 2 vegetables on that plate already. And if you look at the plate differential, you've got 1/3 of your plate is your meat, 1/3 of your plate is your potatoes, and 1/3 of your plate is your corn. You've already overdone your vegetables and fruits. You've got more protein on your plate than you need, and you absolutely have no grains on that plate. So your typical comfort meal isn't really a good meal for you. So definitely, but I think the concept behind the My Plate is the portion control. Okay, so the grain group. I want to talk about that a little bit because I am a cracker fanatic. I snack on crackers. I can leave the chips, I can leave a lot of stuff, but you give me my crackers and I gotta have it. So that's anything made from wheat, rice, oats, oatmeal, barley, or any cereal. That includes your breads, your pashas, your oatmeals, your tortilla shells, grits, anything like that that you eat that came from a grain. Now, how many of you know the difference between a whole grain or a refined grain? That's going to be critical for you. Refined grains, this is the definition, they've been milled, which is a process that removes the bran and the germ from the grain. Unfortunately, when it removes that, it gives you a finer texture, improving the shelf life of the product, but removes the dietary fiber, the iron, and all the B vitamins that are in your grains that you need. So refined things like Wonder Bread, that's a refined bread. It's not healthy for you as far as giving you nutrients. It's not a bad product. Remember, no food is bad. It's just not one you want to have on a regular basis. You want to make sure that how many of you have a bread maker at home? Okay. If you do, make sure you use the whole grain, whether it's white flour or wheat flour. Just make sure it's not refined, because when they refine it, they're taking out all the good stuff, which is, it's kind of silly, but the reason they started doing that was just so that it had a longer shelf life. So kind of like Twinkies. Who won't even go to Twinkies? They have a shelf life of 100 years, by the way. So if you have a Twinkie, it probably will last you 100 years.
Well, they don't make them anymore, so I guess
They are making them anymore. In fact, how many of you guys lived in the 70s? Remember the bomb shelter concept? Everybody was building a bomb shelter. People were putting Twinkies in their bomb shelters because they knew they could just leave them down there and they'd be fine. And they are. Now, Ho-Ho's did not last because they had that chocolate coating, but Twinkies were fine. So, just to be careful on the whole concept of eating too much grain, and this is where I fall into problems, and it's not because it's a carbohydrate. Everybody says carbs are bad. They're not bad. They're what give you energy to get up and go in the morning. What makes them poor is the too many. Now, here's my problem. I buy a box of Wheat Thins, and I get the reduced fat because I don't want the extra fat. I'll reach in and grab a handful and take them to, the couch and sit there and watch a Bronco game, okay? Well, how many can I grab in my hand? One serving is about 12 crackers. Oh, heck, I can grab more than 12 with one hand. So I'm probably consuming two servings with just one little handful, what I call a little handful. Now, how many times do you think I go back to that box and grab a handful? Okay, so that's where my demise is. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself in the grain issue is to actually count your crackers. It sounds silly, but look at the box. And again, 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about how to read the nutrition labels. And count how many you're actually taking out of the box. Put it on a plate. Don't leave it in your hand. Put it on a plate. Take it to the table or wherever. I'm a good proponent of eating in front of the TV. I don't think that's such a bad thing. But I know that a lot of people are saying you'll eat too much if you sit in front of the television, and that can be the case. So if you make it a rule that you only eat when you're at the table, that's great. Take the plate to the table, put the box back in the cupboard, and leave it there. So the thing about the grain group is I have charts galore on what is a serving. And I wish I had time to go find some of these. Bagels. One serving of a bagel. You know those little mini bagels? That's one serving, one of those. So, you go to Einstein Bagel, you get a bagel. How many servings do you think you're eating?
Like 5.
4, not quite that much. You're eating 4 servings of grain. And you only need, at our age, women, 31 to 50-ish, you only need 6 ounces. Now, one little bagel, the minis, is 1 ounce. So you only need 6 of those throughout the day to get your daily allowance. So one Einstein bagel says 4 servings. So you've already got 4 servings, okay? You have a sandwich at lunchtime. How many servings is in the 2 slices of bread that you have on there? 2. 2 servings. 1 slice of bread is 1 serving. So with your sandwich bread and the bagel you had at breakfast, you've already hit the amount of grains. So what if you have spaghetti for dinner? And that's another issue too. 1 cup of pasta is about the size of this cell phone.
Right.
It's very small. I don't know about you, I can't eat that small amount of spaghetti.
No.
Right.
So if you know you're having pasta for lunch or dinner, cut back on the rest of your grains for the day. Don't have cereal for breakfast. Have eggs. Don't have a sandwich at lunchtime if you're having spaghetti for dinner. Have a salad or have a stir fry. Something else, stir fry without the rice, okay, because you've got rice that's in there. It's really hard to keep those grains to 1/4 of your plate. And if you take, and by the way, the plates aren't this big, okay? We're talking a 9-inch dinner plate. My dinner plates, by the way, are 12 inches. So I got to be careful. And one of the recommendations is when you're fixing your meals, use the relish tray size dish. Use your dessert plate as your dinner plate. And use that as cutting it in half and in quarters, because then you won't overdo, okay? So, and for little kids, they need 3 ounces of grains. So, and that's the 2 to 3-year-olds. And it varies depending on the age and their sex. And I've been avoiding the guys. Men need just a little bit more because they're a little more bulkier and their digestive system is quite different. And again, I'm not a dietitian, so I don't really know how that works. But they can have a little bit extra of all of this for their daily allowances. Now let's talk about the dairy. Where's the dairy on the plate?
The cup.
Yeah, it's in the cup. That indicates that it's a side. It's not necessarily part of the meal. but it's part of your recommended daily allowances of some kind of dairy. Now that means if you have macaroni and cheese for dinner, that dairy that's on your plate and the cheese should technically be pulled out of the macaroni and put into the little cup. So if you have macaroni and cheese for dinner, you don't want to have a glass of milk with it either. Now for kids it's a different story, for growing kids, but for adults that's way too much dairy. So again, you have to be careful of what you're eating throughout the day to know that you're getting the amount that you need. But what the cup indicates is an 8-ounce glass. And our cups at home, we got 12-ounce beer steins, and some of our mugs are even bigger than that. So you have to be really careful of how much you're filling that up. So if you eat, or if you drink a lot of milk, and I know some adults that prefer to drink milk over anything else, that's fine. That's still healthy for you. Fill the cup halfway, especially if you're only going to, if that's your prime drink. Have half a glass at lunch, half a glass at dinner. And then you know you're only getting what you need. So for people in the dairy group, that's protein. Daily recommendations of dairy, and I can't seem to find it. Here it is. Okay, for 31 to 50-year-olds, 3 cups, which would be 8 ounces is a cup, so multiply that by 3. Here's some math issue. 24 ounces. So if you take the 24 ounces of soda that you get, that's really all you need in dairy for the day. Right? Whether you get it in milk or whether you get it in cheese. And you got to be careful with some of the cheeses because of the fat content. But right now we're just talking straight out dairy. So dairy products, actually, I think I put that sheet over here. Yeah. No, I don't have it on there. But dairy includes like your cottage cheeses, your yogurts, your ice cream does count as a dairy. You got to be careful of how much of that because you're also adding a little bit of sugar in that too. But ice cream is not a bad food. Again, no bad foods. So if you absolutely love your ice cream, have it every day. But have a half a cup. Not going to be harmful. Okay? So that's the whole concept of the My Plate. The My Plate does not eliminate any food from your diet. It definitely shows you more portion control. Now, what about the fats? Where's my chocolate? Where's the oil? Well, how about the salad dressings that we like to put on our salad? Okay, so here's the deal with that. They're not on the plate. And the reason they're not on the plate is because they're really not necessary for your diet at all. If you can go through your entire life without putting salad dressings on, without deep frying your French fries, or without using any kind of oils, you're probably better off. You don't really need them for your nutritional content. However, there are some value in having these high-fat foods. Nuts, olives, and avocados are the top 3 that I would suggest, and that includes peanut butter in the nut category. You're talking some significantly high protein here in all of these areas. And oils actually, such as canola oil and some of your other vegetable oils, are really high in fats that aren't necessarily good for you. So if you do fry in fat or you cook in oils, go for olive oil. It's high in the good fats that you need, the unsaturated fats. Safflower oil is another good one, and it's cheaper than olive oil. Olive oils are really expensive. You want to stay away from butter and corn oil, margarine, and shortening. As far as using those to fry in or to, let's say you're grilling something, you need to put something in the pan. I use the spray stuff because it's just you don't have any calories in that. But these particular fats, the nuts, the olives, the avocados, excellent. Now, having said that, you've got Subway that has that avocado sandwich. How many servings of avocado do you think are in that particular sandwich? A lot. Your fat servings, you don't need much. 1 to 2 tablespoons a day, if even that. So if you take that avocado spread that they're putting on there in massive quantities, you've got about 6 to 8 tablespoons on that. Same with peanut butter. How many of you made a peanut butter sandwich where the peanut butter just oozes right out of it? That's way too much. I gotcha. In fact, that's what I had on my way over here. I actually took I didn't measure it, I took a butter knife, stuck it in the peanut butter, had a hunk on there, and just spread it out all over a tortilla, and that was it. Rolled it up and drove down here with it. That was 2 tablespoons. And the only reason I know that is because I have practiced portion control. It does take a little bit of time. And especially when you're dealing with oils like that, you probably do want to start measuring. You want to dip your 2 tablespoons or your tablespoon into the peanut butter and then dip it out to spread it. Because then you're going to know you're getting exactly what you need. And same with like tahini. You guys ever eat tahini? It's crushed sesame seeds, like peanut butter's crushed peanuts. Tahini's crushed sesame seeds is awesome. Dip carrots in it. It's like, it's addictive. But again, we're talking a lot of calories and a lot of fat. So, okay, empty calories. Here's your cookies, your cakes, your sodas, your energy drinks, your cheese, your pizza, your ice cream. Yeah, there is some nutritional value to those. But these are foods that you really want to stay away from. And I put hot dogs, bacon, and ribs on there. The hot dogs in particular because we don't really know what's in them. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
No problem. You don't have a clue really what's in your apple, I'll look at my apples. You don't know what's in that hot dog. So why would you want to put it in your body? So some of the things that you really want to eat lightly today, pizza would be fine during a football game. Just to let you know, 1 slice of pizza is 250 calories. 1 slice of pizza would be 1 serving, not 2 slices. 1 slice would be 1 serving. Now that is just pizza with your cheese on top. Now you got the cheese on there, you've got your dairy. How many of you guys just eat cheese pizza? Probably none of you. Yeah, I do too. Although I do add vegetables. Vegetables are great to add on top of pizza.
I'll put spinach on.
Spinach is excellent. Broccoli is another good one. I don't even like tomato sauce, so I like those the white pizzas, which are worse for you. Yeah, because they're adding actually a cheese base.
Like oil and stuff.
Yeah, and oil on there. So you're actually better with the marinara sauce or the spaghetti sauce. But you just really have to be careful. And I would eat these foods with caution. Don't eliminate them. Just don't have them every day. I wouldn't even have them every week, quite honestly. I have them in special occasions, like Super Bowl Sunday, when the Broncos are in it.
I love bacon.
Same with candy. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to talk a little bit about sometimes a candy bar actually is better for you than some other snacks that you might think are better for you. So that's going to make you feel good. All right, I've got 10 really quick tips to, and this is one of the sheets that I have, to balance your plate, to get you a great plate. Number 1 is balance your calories. Find out how many calories you actually need to stay healthy. An adult that's about 150-pound female, you need about 1,500 calories to stay healthy, 16. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's the weight loss mode. 2,000 calories to maintain your current weight. That's all you need. Most of us probably eat that in one sitting. Be careful. For example, Wendy's Baconator already has 2,000 calories in it. So if you have the fries with it, a Coke, you've already exceeded your calorie allowance for the day. So one of the things with that plate, make sure you have a vegetable, your grains, your fruits at every sitting. Then you know, 9-inch plate by the way, then you know you're not getting more than you need. Okay? So find out how much you need to stay healthy, manage your weight, lose weight, or whatever it is you need. Men, about 2,500 calories at about 150 pounds. So if you're more and you still want to maintain your weight, that's fine. I think most guys are around the 180 mark to 200 mark, depending on their height. And you probably all know what you should weigh. So kind of figure out from there. And there's online calculators that will tell you how much you should. But your doctor's going to be your better resource, guaranteed. 2, eat your food, but eat less of it. Again, I have chocolate every day. I don't have a candy bar every day, and in fact, I was telling Curtis yesterday he wanted to come up and visit me, and I said, bring me chocolate. So he emailed back, what kind of candy bar do you want? I said, oh, no, I don't want a candy bar. Just steal a piece of candy off of somebody's desk, like in their dish. And that was fine. I have maybe 3 or 4 Hershey Kisses a day throughout the course of the day, and it settles me for the day. Because if you eliminate it from your diet, I'm a chocoholic.
When I was doing the diet thing, I'd go a week without chocolate and I would just binge on Sunday. Well, that's not what you want to do. So if you spread it out through the day, eat less of it, you don't have to really worry about having that craving and really wanting to binge. Now, in cases, like Kurt was saying, it will take some self-control. Avoid oversized portions. Use a small bowl, use a small plate. Measure your food if you have to. If you really want to make sure you're not overdoing it, measure. It sounds old school, but eventually you'll know how many crackers you pull out of that. You'll know how much peanut butter can go on that knife that will be 1 tablespoon. By the way, serving of peanut butter is 2 tablespoons. Foods to eat more often. I can't stress it enough. Fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. In fact, I wish they hadn't left. I have apples for everybody. Oh, here's 1 serving of apple. There you go. But I got apples for everybody, so considering I bought a whole bag, you're going to take a couple apples home. So those, I just can't stress it enough. If you can stomach putting the potato chips down and having an apple instead of, or even a bag of carrots, you're better off eating that whole bag of carrots and getting 200 calories of carrots than eating that pizza that is 250 calories per slice. So multiply that by 8. I don't know how many calories is in a pizza. 5, make half your plate. You've already been over this, fruits and vegetables. And cover all the colors. Go try a new vegetable. Try something different. I have done that. Pomegranates are great if you know how to peel them. Switch to fat for your low-fat milk. If you're a milk drinker, Curtis, switch to that. Or switch to skim milk if you can stomach it. Basically, it's like drinking flavored water. Yeah. And I know that. I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't really do dairy. So, again, that eliminates ice cream from my diet, which I absolutely love. But I know what's going to happen to me if I have it. So, switch to as low as you can stomach. And if you can't, then cut down the portion. 7, make whole grains. Make half of your grains whole grains. So if you love that white bread, that's okay. Have your white bread, but switch your pasta to whole wheat. Or if you can't stand whole wheat pasta, like my husband, who's about this big around and little, and he's in triathlete as well, he can't stand whole wheat products, pastas and that kind of thing. So he has the white refined grains, but he'll eat whole wheat breads. Number 8, it's the same thing. How did I do that? What's number 8 on that sheet?
Foods to eat less often.
Foods to eat less often. How did I must have duplicated my slide. I wrote the right thing down. Cut back on all those fats. If you love oil on your salad, try using a different kind of oil. Try using olive oil instead of corn oil. Just really small changes like that. You're still getting your oil, but you're getting a little healthier oil. Number 9, compare the sodiums. And again, we'll talk about food labels, but you don't want to eat a lot of salt. It's gonna fluff you up. You're gonna feel crappy all day. And a lot of sodium makes you thirstier. So what you're gonna grab for a Coke, you're gonna grab for another glass of milk, which isn't necessarily what you need. And the last one, drink water. And this is what I do. I'm a huge Diet Coke fan, and we'll talk a little bit about it.
I was going to ask you about that.
We'll talk about aspartame later. It is terrible for you.
I know.
I can't get it out of my diet. So what I make sure is when I drink a Diet Coke, I drink a water.